This family is gonna get destroyed by the end of this. Oh, why?
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Vontae, the first, the day portion of Mugen Eclipse.
And it's me, Mr. Twitchy, the night portion of Mugen Eclipse. And today we have the first episode of Season 2 of Vinland Saga.
You guys already know. I mean, if you're here, you know Vinland Saga is just raw. It's really raw. The storytelling, like, man, within 3 episodes, they made everybody love Thor's. Like, I don't think there's a single person in this world that just does not like Thor's. If you don't, you're corny, you're lame, you suck. And then they showed his death every episode, but obviously, you know, it's for a good reason. I mean, for Thorfinn's story, his development, his rage towards Askeladd, the goat. By the way, that's both of our goats.
I don't really have much else to add on to that. I think that Season 1 of Vinland Saga honestly was a 10 out of 10. Yeah. I don't say that too much about anime seasons because whenever there's more content to be covered, that can go up or down. But for the most part, it was absolute perfection in Season 1, with the one downside of being that one Thorkel panel that kind of got, you know,
oh yeah, I remember that.
Other than that, like, I feel like it was almost a perfect adaptation. The tone is a little bit different in the manga. I've been reading it on my own, up until the point where Season 1 ends, of course. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say. I feel like Season 1 was absolute perfection. OPs, EDs, the actual episodes themselves. It was everything I wanted.
We are excited. We just got done reacting to the OP, so it got us in the mood. It got our energies right just for this episode, for this season. Doing us all the way until June, so stay tuned. That rhymed. Yep. You got anything else to say before we hop into it?
Nope, let's delay no longer and get into the newest episode of Season 2 of Vinland Saga right about now. Chopping down a tree. That was oddly intense.
Right. Damn. Episode titled Slave.
Damn. Wait, she threw a knife at him?
I thought so for a second, but I was like, nah, she couldn't have done that.
I just heard like the kerthunk, and I was just like, that sounds wooden.
Ashes, Askeladd. Oh.
That man knows his way around a teat.
That is a statement right there.
This family is gonna get destroyed by the end of this.
Oh yeah, the way she talked, yeah. Damn.
R.I.P. already.
We haven't lost at all. Oh boy.
I mean, as long as you have each other. Like,
for now.
It might sound a little bit corny. Oh my god!
Yep.
Trip and fall. Oh, an arrow! I knew it!
Arrows, man.
These things are deadly.
Taking out mothers and fathers everywhere.
You gotta go, dude. Be a man.
I like her character design. It makes her like look tough, and you know, it's obviously fitting her personality. Damn, man.
Ah, just an elbow? That's all it took?
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh! Oh!
Oh.
Oh! You should have went for the neck, though.
Uh-oh.
Ah!
Man.
Oh, those eyes. Whoa!
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Man.
That's a wow.
Shout out to that VA.
Mm-hmm.
She's not gonna make it. Ooh!
Wow. Damn, they doing a good job with these visuals. Ah, this OST.
Yep.
I remember when Leif Erikson was talking about conquering the sea with this OST. It rhymed again. Bars.
Man. For humanity to ever reach this point is just insane.
Right.
Just catalyzing. If that's even a word. I will say the character designs, they are pretty top notch.
Mm-hmm. I think they do have the same animators from Wit. Yeah, that sounds goddamn.
Hey, the resolve of humanity. You gotta Susume.
Or Tatakai.
Tatakai.
But I love that his mom instilled that grit in him.
That's the one thing they can't take from you, as long as you don't let them. Oh!
That Leafy boy?
Does he remind him of Thor's? Is that why he's looking at him like that?
I
guess not.
Oh, he kind of looked like,
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Was it Atlee or his brother? I forgot his name. I doubt it because he was.
No, I mean, because he retired to the countryside, right? That might be him.
But wasn't he went like crazy or something?
No, his brother did. I'm talking about the guy with the ponytail that lived.
Oh, you think that this is him?
Yeah.
Oh no, I think this is his brother, or I thought it was his brother.
Yep, the Vinland.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the grain. Oh!
That was very casual.
Yeah, he's not a slave. He just wants to live a quiet life. That's crazy that Leaf was so close.
Mm-hmm. He's like, oh yeah, that's the name that the guy just said. He's like, hey,
look at your boy.
Looking for you. Right, you're looking more like Thor's, more and more like him. That was great, like you said, a great introduction. What's his name, Einar or Einar? Einar. I'm looking forward to his journey as well. That's the thing with this series. When they focus on specific characters and build them up, like, they are typically one of the better characters I've seen in manga and anime. A lot of times when it comes to their writing, like we already talked about, like Askeladd, for example. Like in all of writing, you know, we both agreed that, like, yeah, he's one of the best written characters, period, right? And obviously with Thorfinn's development, I think that's going to be like one of the best, or growth or progression for a main character, you know. Thor's is just a GOAT within a very short amount of time, and this guy right here, I'm expecting something similar in comparison to them, and like Canute, for example. Yeah, it was a great episode though.
I really enjoy kind of like the method, and I can definitely see it being put into place by the author, that the first 24 episodes, the prologue of the story, was it was not focused on Thorfinn. It was just to set up, plant the seeds a little bit, maybe water them once in a while, but we're going to start to see those sprouts growing in, I'm assuming, this arc. I don't know if this is technically the start of the Farmland arc, or if there's something like right before. Fontai and I briefly talked about that off camera before we started, but I have heard nothing but amazing things about the Farmland arc, and just with the setup in this specific episode, I can see it coming.
I've also heard too, like with this arc, I've seen people say, okay, so for the meatheads of the series, don't expect this arc to just be purely like what the first season, gave you when it comes to like just the whole savagery. I mean, it's obviously we've already seen that, or we will be seeing that, but like, especially from this character's perspective, like it seems to be like a arc of growth. Literally farming, if we do get into the farming arc, but it seems like we're pretty much, around that area anyway. But yeah, that's what I like to see, especially for a series like this that typically, I know a lot of people like it for the savagery and all that kind of stuff, but me personally, like Thorfinn's character in season 1, I didn't like him that much for obvious reasons. The story's pretty much showing you like, okay, he's just so strung up on, revenge and avenging his father and his rage and stuff, to the point where this is the part where I want to see from his character. And I think obviously we will be getting that growth,
Yeah, for me, I feel like it, meatheadery aside, I mean, we all love meat, pause. But with that being said, I feel like the author can definitely touch more so upon the themes in a non-battle focused arc.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. So he can really get into like the characters, like slavery just as a concept is absolutely inhumane, and I would argue it's even more devastating, the slave trade, than some of these wars that are fought, because once the wars are fought, spoils go to the victors.
Right.
Slavery, that could be multi-generational. That could span across continents. Like, we're not just talking about a one-and-done war or a battle for a piece of land. Like, literal families and generations are being held against their will. And that loss of freedom that we're seeing from Einar, where he started off free, they had already rebuilt the village, and then all of a sudden he loses his mom, he loses his sister, and that partially because of his fault, because he just couldn't mentally comprehend the savagery of humanity. And because of that, he was forced into the slave trade. And oh, brother, there is so much that can be done with that in terms of the storytelling, that I just know that Thorfinn's going to be the perfect, I don't want to say foil, but he'll be the perfect antithesis to what Einar was thinking at the end of this episode, to where, okay, if I'm an obedient slave, master will be nice to me. I'll be able to eat. That's not living. That's just existing. And if that's one of the primary themes, living versus existing, kudos to you, man.
And even like that last thing he said, like, this is how me and Thorfinn met, like, his narration of just everything so far from what we've seen, from this inner monologue and stuff. I'm very excited to see how they're, how they will bond and whatnot.
I hope Thorfinn finally gets a friend.
Yeah, because he ain't had that. He was really just this kid within all these grown-ass Vikings just going crazy and savages around him. But yeah, I like what you said. You said, like, we're getting into, like, the non-violent aspect, and that's something that Thors was preaching, Like,
what's a true warrior?
Man, like, when you really think of, like, all the characters in the series, like, and what they, give to the story, it's just crazy. Like, Thors is, like, how you were going to say how Thorfinn was, like, might be a foil, but not quite. Like, Thors is, like, he's a foil for, like, everything, like, especially for Thorfinn. What it means to be a true warrior. Even Thorkel asked that question. And then Askeladd doing what he was doing, and then Canute, his uprising. And then seeing Thorfinn and Einar coming up from the ground up, I'm excited. I'm just excited.
It's really just a domino effect because we brought up Alti earlier, that which may or may not be him in this scene. Maybe just someone that looks similar to him. But he said over the years they fought so many battles, they don't remember anyone except for one man, and that was Thor's. So the profound impact, even decades later, of this one encounter, this chance encounter, Askeladd, it led to the death of Ears. Thorkel then got involved, obviously, but like, just one instance. Thor's was just done with battle. He wanted to go home, live with his family, live with his wife,
and they could not understand that at all. Like what? Yeah. Like imagine that. Like imagine like, oh, it could be anything. Somebody that you admire. And then all of a sudden they just say like, yeah, nah, I just lost. In your eyes, you're like, I just lost my passion. I lost my passion of being a warrior, but they don't understand that, the true definition of that.
Yeah, we could even translate that to like a sports analogy, like someone retiring before their prime is over or when they're just starting.
Right.
I know there's a couple of football players that obviously it's a violent game, but they retire after a few years because they're just like, okay, well, I reached the peak and I don't feel like just injuring myself, whether that's physically or emotionally, enough to where it's even worth it. So then you can then translate that back to Vinland Saga. Like, is it even worth it to take up a blade, or should you just adopt the slave mentality?
There's so many great themes.
So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got on this one. You got anything else you want to add?
Well, the last thing I was going to say is that you could really learn a lot from the series, like just from different characters' perspectives and what they're fighting for, whether that means physically fighting or just, like emotionally or spiritually, rather. It's just a series that can give you good insight because, like, within this episode, the episode title is called Slave. Like, just seeing this too, like, even for people that, I don't know, may not remember or learn a lot about like history and just the world in general, they could watch this series for a reference to kind of just get a understanding of how people act and how people still act, very like barbaric mentality. And it's just a cool series that could just remind you, like, you know what, like, just be better. Don't get into that mindset of like not caring or self-loathing or, like I said, barbaric mentality. Like, try to get away from that as much as you can. So that's the good teachings within the series.
It's a good dose of morality, especially if you're introspective. So,
right. But that's all I got. All right. So you guys know the drill. Stay tuned every week until June. I'm gonna keep saying that. Bars. I'm gonna keep saying it. But yeah, stay tuned, man. I hope you guys all have a good one. So please stay safe, stay healthy, stay clean. See you guys all in the next video. Peace.